नमस्कार साथियों, मैं डॉक्टर लोकेश भाटिया स्वागत करता हूं आपका लोक टॉक्स चैनल पर। कल मैं एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रहा था। वो आर्टिकल था कि 30 to 50% of people who have suffered, who have gone through this corona pandemic, those who have gone through this corona episode of developing full-fledged manifestations, and they have now landed up with PTSD. PTSD का फुल फॉर्म है पोस्ट ट्रॉमेटिक स्ट्रेसफुल डिसऑर्डर. As a sequelae, they have developed a mental illness. और बहुत से लोग जिनको नहीं भी हुआ है वो भी इस स्ट्रेस से गुजर रहे हैं. So dear friends, I decided today to talk about on this topic how to handle this stress, how to come out of this anxiety. And today my talk will be more inspired by a book by Eckhart Tolle, who is a Canadian writer, author, and very famous on his book on spirituality, and that book is called Power of Now. So some reviews out of this book and something out of my own inputs, and today's topic will be how to handle this current scenario inspired by Power of Now. Welcome to Lok Talks. This is Dr. Lokesh Bhatia. Subscribe this channel for professional medical guidance, spirituality and meditation, life coaching, personality development, and travelogues. Thank you very much to be a part of my viewership team. Thank you very much. So there are two strong feelings that trap many of us. Those are regrets and anxiety. If we are upset, definitely these are the two feelings which invariably makes us upset. We are either full of regrets for the things we did or failed to do in the past, or we are full of anxiety over the future events we cannot control. Still, we somehow believe that we can live better, happier lives, even if we are clueless on how to go about it. There are several methods we can apply to resolve the inner conflict we experience. We can develop a healthy relationship with our past, present and future by exploring the lessons and power of now. So dear friends, absolutely necessary for us to understand and realize and the practice of power of now. There is no better spiritual book than this. Many of us, many of my friends too, consider this book as their Gita of the present times, and nothing great about it. It's only makes you to practice how to live in present. That's the most important thing for us. So Eckhart Tolle mentions a wonderful quote by saying, nothing has happened in the past, it happened in now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now. Living in the present moment requires careful training of our minds to overcome the self-destructive ways in which we have been using it. With the personal experience involving depressing late nights thoughts, Eckhart Tolle shares how he literally found peace by discovering the source of pain and suffering. So dear friends, it's my strong recommendation for all of you to find out this book and keep it so handy that it helps you every day to bring it in practice. Let's see what next Eckhart Tolle is going to say in this book. The chapter 2 is on experience a great improvement in your life by focusing only on the present instead of regretting the past or worrying about the future. Everyone is in search of peace and enlightenment, but these somehow elusive. We do not know how to improve our lives. We instead get trapped by a web of circumstances that keep us circling the drain. There is a way out, and it is easier than we think. The key is to become conscious of the present and live there. Like if I am talking to you and you are listening to me, then you will remember everything possible if you are consciously aware of the present. That is what is focus. As long as our focus is in the present moment, there cannot be any reason to be sad in this world. It's very easy to fall into reminiscence or regret by thinking of the past events or by the situations of the past. We also worry a lot about the future events or the situations that we may find ourselves in. The first step to a peaceful and improved life is living in the present. The only place where events occur in present, not the past or the future. Every event is happening in present. We feel in the present. Our senses can only interpret present sensation. Sometimes when we refer to an event as a past, what we mean is that it happened in a certain present moment. Every past was once a present moment, and any future occurrence is a present moment waiting to happen. Therefore, it is useless worrying about the future or dwelling in the past. The only useful endeavor here is to live is in now. Living in the present moment reduces your problems drastically. You can deal effectively with small present problems and not of the past or the future events. As we all know that the past is past and past cannot be changed. And in many talks of mine in the past, I have already said that past cannot be changed and it only can be accepted. So, supposing if you have a term paper to submit and the deadline seems to be closing, being anxious about the volume of work left or regret over the time you have already wasted will not take you anywhere. However, if you start now and choose to solve one problem from another, it will be easier to accomplish the task much faster and much sooner. Decide to live in present. Let go of the past and do not be afraid of what may happen tomorrow. Your life will experience dramatic improvements and you will find peace. Most of the pain you experience comes from within and not from the external circumstances. You feel pain because of your body is building an internal resistance to an external change. If you practice to accept change, no sooner you will accept the change, you will be at peace. So when you are unsatisfied with the situation of things and are unable to change the situation, you feel in pain. A past event you regret cannot be changed. Your body will respond to this by feeling pain. Pain comes from resisting situations you cannot change. On an emotional level, it appears as a negative feeling. On the physical level, it causes the development of what is called pain body. The pain body is a part of the self that needs you to feel pain so it can survive. Pain and grows stronger with each pain you experience. As it grows stronger, it makes you feel miserable and sad too. This experience can continue until you become one with your pain body. Consequently, it becomes difficult to let go of the pain because to let go of the pain becomes an important part of your life. You have embraced it wholly so much that it becomes your identity. To lose the pain, you mean to lose your identity. You must have seen so many people that in the best of the times also they will be right. So they cannot perceive any good things also in their life, and they feel and they give constant expression of sadness on their faces always, because they are not able to accept and they resist any changes which are happening in their surroundings and in their body. If the pain body becomes your identity, you feel more pain to sustain the identity. When you feel anger or frustration because of some external situations or circumstances, your pain body is in charge. It causes you to take actions that will cause more pain because it needs the pain to survive. You blame the situation for your anger and feel pain as a result. After all, it is not your fault. So when you learn to blame for the situations and people around you for your anger, you are always feeling sad and you are not able to take the responsibility for the situations and you are resisting change, and this is what is basically pain body. So it means the truth is that you have created your pain and sadness is all self-created. Therefore, you can dissociate yourself from it by making a different set of choices. You can kill your pain body by choosing a different course of action when you are triggered to feel pain. You deprive yourself of happiness when you allow the ego to control your thoughts and behavior. I have already done one episode before on what is ego and what is the role of ego in our life. So I will strongly recommend all the viewers and all those who are listening me in this video, they should definitely watch that video as well. I will pass on this link and connectivity to that. So nobody wants to be miserable, yet many are unhappy. Why do people tend to press the self-destruction button? The answer lies in the ego. The ego unconsciously controls how you think and behave. It is difficult to measure the extent of control that the ego has on your life, because it works steadily. For example, when you reflect on actions we took in a heated situation, we may notice with regrets that we overreacted. Many times we feel later on and we start thinking that probably I shouldn't have reacted or overreacted that much. But we didn't spot the fact that we had gone overboard while we were in the thick of things. That is the ego in action. So as long as you can spot on that what is your reaction or overreaction, this is all your ego. Having identified this fact, you will definitely start responding. And when you learn to giving up on your reactions and overreactions, and you learn to respond to a situation or to people, you will definitely be at peace. The ego acts against your own best interests because its survival depends on your misery. It is destructive part of your mind that produces misery. People suffer because they have not killed the ego. They engage in self-sabotaging behavior such as refusing to leave a destructive and a painful relationship. They do not want to wound their ego. The ego is difficult to detect when it is at work. You must have realized many times when you are enough comfortable within, you start realizing that I shouldn't have said so much, I shouldn't have reacted that way. That means you have come out of your ego and now you have started realizing what has happened. You have started seeing your own self, and that is where you learn how to correct yourself. That is where you are giving up your resistance to accept a situation. In a bid to control your thinking and behavior, the ego leads you into situations that put you at odds with others. Consequently, you become unhappy, and this becomes the breeding ground for your ego. A clash of egos occurs when all the time in households and office spaces, the ego gets in the way of people's desires of peaceful coexistence. They become annoyed and overreact over the trivial matters. Give the ego an inch and it will take a mile. Much suffering comes from ceding control to the ego. Pay less attention to your mind and focus on your body to enjoy a life free from pain. Pain comes from the mind. So we have understood so far that all pain what is there, what you are going through, all the miseries are your own self-created. Pain comes from the mind. I am repeating this point again. The ego resides in the mind. To be free from the destructive effects of ego and pain, you need to move away from your attention from your mind and concentrate on your body. Regretful memories and anxiety about the future comes from the mind and cause pain. You cannot live in the present because your mind is busy with the past and in the future. The solution is to reduce the power of the mind and to prevent it from having so much control over our behavior. To do this, we must place our focus on the body. You can free yourself from pain and ego by focusing on your body. The body helps you to seek what is important in your life because it knows what is the best for you. Jesus Christ spoke extensively about the body being a temple. He resurrected and ascended with his body and not just his mind or soul. You cannot ignore your body in your quest to find happiness. The body helps you focus on the things that really matters. Enlightenment comes from being at one with your body. Buddha undertook a 6-year abstinence coupled with fasting in a bid to separate himself from his body. While he felt separated from his body, he didn't find the peace or enlightenment in the endeavor. Enlightenment came only when he felt at one with his body. So detach yourselves from your mind and learn to observe it without judgment to be free from pain. Learning to detach yourself from your mind begins with becoming conscious of its powers over you. The destructive part of the human mind likes to go unnoticed as it influences thinking and behavior. Therefore, you must learn to observe your mind operates if you want to, how your mind is operating if you want to be happy. To observe your mind is to ask yourself what your next thought would be. When you focus fully on this question, you realize that it would take a while for you to conceive your next thought. This act of observation makes you create a gap in the flow of your thoughts. Like in meditation, you must have heard everybody asking you to watch your thoughts. You cannot stop from thoughts to come in your mind. Thoughts will definitely come. It's very easy to say, come out of your past, stop thinking about your future. You have to practice watching your thoughts. When you start watching your thought, you start developing gaps between your thoughts. The next thought will take some time to come over. Till you are watching your thoughts, there will be a pause. So these are all in the direction for you to take over to a different kind of meditation practices. Meditations means basically a mental relaxation. When you are leading a meditated life, that means you are emotionally and mentally that strong that situations and people's actions have stopped bothering you. You know very well how to think and you have learned how to keep yourself mentally comfortable. So repeating this exercise will help you realize how your mind is in a continuous flow of thoughts. We all know very well that in a minute our mind processes 25 to 30 thoughts in a minute. In 24 hours we process more than 60,000 thoughts. While sleeping also, our thought machinery keeps working. Unless you develop this practice of watching your own thoughts, what is going on in your mind, that only will start creating pauses. Till you are watching, the thought will stop coming. The moment you stop watching them, the newer and newer thoughts will keep coming. So you will also learn to interrupt your mind. By interrupting your mind, you also learn to separate from it. Having mastered how to observe your mind, you can now learn to observe it without judging. When you judge, it is your mind that is at work. Meanwhile, the goal is to dissociate from your mind completely. So observe without judgment by acknowledging your mind's advice by ignoring it. When your body feels like sleeping, for example, listen to it and go to sleep. Your body knows what is good for you at that moment. Your mind may kick in to tell you that you have got something to do, but like you have to prepare for exams, you have to reply to email, etc., etc. But if your body is demanding sleep, you must go to sleep. That is the only way. When you are telling yourself, no, I have to do this, I have to do that, this is where you start affecting your body. This is where you start judging yourself. So don't judge the voice whispering these instructions as good or bad. When you start saying good or bad, this is what is judgment. So just acknowledge the advice but refuse to follow it. This particular practice will help you to notice your mind without allowing it to control you and without judging what it is telling you. Listen to your body and follow its impulses because it knows what best for you. Another technique that helps you tap into the power of now is active waiting. Active waiting is a special type of waiting state of mind in which you are fully aware of the fact that something really important could happen at any time. You are ready to catch it. It has an additional advantage in that it helps you to get better at separating yourself from your mind and focusing on your body. In a state of active waiting, you are focused on the now. For example, when writing an exam, you cannot afford to be distracted by the regrets of not being prepared or the worry that surrounds the results. All the focus is on the answering the questions before you to the best of your ability. It is therefore important to enter into a state of active waiting just before you begin an exam. Active waiting keeps you in a state of anticipation of a significant event, and this anticipation forces you to be in the present moment rather than in the past or in the future. Zen masters, you must have heard about Zen yoga, Zen meditation. Zen masters train their pupils to learn to feel an attack coming with their eyes closed by being in a state of active waiting. Students who are in this state can fully concentrate on their body and sense an attack so that they can evade it. Being in a state of active waiting heightens the sense and helps you to become fully aware. Being in a state of active waiting can lead to a good life. Jesus recommended that his followers remain in a state of a servant awaiting the return of their masters. The servant waits actively because he does not know when the master will return. The servant is not busy thinking about the past or planning for the future. He is alert so that he does not miss the master when he comes. Listening in the now weighs on your relationship, but it also has the potential to improve the relationship. Living in the now weighs on your relationship, but it also has the potential to improve the relationship. Up till now, you have learned to separate yourself from your mind. You are now living in the present. This transformation will have an impact on the way you live your life. Therefore, the people closest to you will be affected by this change. You will be seen as a threat by the non-present individuals. Their egos feeds on problems, whereas you are at peace, calm and in the present moment. They will continue to engage in things that that will draw out of them from the present. They may insult you, refer to the past mistakes, or engage you in a debate over something insignificant. The relationship between a non-present person and a present person is like the relationship between light and darkness. They are strongly opposite that cannot be near each other. So how do you resolve this conflict? Embrace a life from criticism. How do you resolve this conflict? Embrace a life free from criticism. When you begin to see your partner as an independent person and can observe their actions without judgment, it will greatly improve your relationship. The inner peace that comes from living in the present will engage and enable you to develop good listening skills. Listening your partner can help and cycles of debate can be ended. Because you are at inner peace, you can listen to understand rather than to reply. When you understand others, you will not engage in endless arguments with them. Observe your partner's actions without judging or any judgments, good or bad, right or wrong, them, without judging them. That only will improve your relationships. Living in the present will test your relationship and almost end it. If you pass this test, your relationship will become greatly rewarding. Living in the present holds potential for improved relationship that will be beneficial to everyone. Living in the present is not antidote to all the forms of sadness or hurt feelings. Not all pain or feelings of sadness are avoidable. The fact that you live in the present does not mean you cannot feel pain. Most, not all pains is self-created. For example, when you lose a loved one, feelings of sadness will be inevitable. People who are still under the influence of their destructive mind can also inflict pain on you. And these are examples of unavoidable pain. You cannot lead everyone to the path of enlightenment. You cannot lead you. What should be your response when feelings of pain or sadness appear? Should you suppress them or live in the denial of the pain? No. It is natural to the experience. Feelings of sadness is very natural. But how long to feel sad? That will be learned by living in the present. By and large, we all have our focus on the bad things in our life. 2 to 5% things will be bad in anybody's life, and we lose to focus on the 95 to 98% good things in our life. So our focus where to focus, how to focus. This is very important to learn and practice on day-to-day basis. No one has ever said not to experience pain, not to experience sadness. But yes, the duration, how long to feel it, has to be decided by you only. No one else can decide that duration. It can be 5 seconds, it can be 5 days, it can be 5 years, it can be 10 years, and some people lead to a self-destructive mode also. I would like to share at this instance a story of very recent incidents. A doctor, 60 years of age, returned from the hospital getting checked her husband, and when she came to know that husband has been diagnosed with a cancer which is very advanced and she is very soon going to lose her. You know what worst step she did? As she was gynecologist, she knew everything. She went to her own hospital's operation theatre, got some anesthesia drugs, injected herself and killed herself. So this kind of impulsive things can only come by getting out and giving gaps to your thought process. Such negative thoughts, whenever hurt your mind, you should be able to make out what is happening, what are you thinking, why are you thinking like that. Can you imagine what pains you are gifting to your family? Think about it. So it's quite natural to experience feelings of sadness when you lose a loved one to death. You will mourn them and feel sad. Still, you need to accept the situation for what it is. This acceptance will set you free from needless suffering. It is natural to be sad. It is in fact healthy. You should not be ashamed or be made to feel guilty of being sad. When you allow yourself to accept things as they are, it will help you to avoid being in pain and to lose the mental peace. So acceptance is the key to dealing with unavoidable pain. Living in now helps you to avoid most of the pain that normal people experience, but not all of it. Being present furnishes you with the strength to accept the hurtful realities of life rather than denying them or suppressing the painful feelings. You will be truly free, calm and peaceful in the end. Living in the present is not an excuse for mediocrity or living a passive life. It may be difficult to maintain inner peace if your outer life situation is bad. Being present does not mean you should be unwilling to change a troubling situation. It is not a license for mediocrity or living a passive life. When you live in present, you go through an inner process of feelings and insight. It can help you to become active and excellent. The internal process do not mean that your external behavior should be passive. If you find yourself in a traffic jam. For example, the way out is not to remain there and say you have always wanted to be in traffic. Instead, you will find ways to get out of it without feeling anxious. When you approach an uncomfortable situation with clear eyes and clear mind, you will uncover newer ways to overcome the obstacle. Being present allows you to tap into the power of now. You will have a constant supply of strength and determination because your inner resources are not busy creating problems. You have fresh energy to deal with challenges. Just one small word to flip every problem into your challenges. You all know that you have been overcoming challenges in your life every day and every moment in life. When you start respecting yourself for the same reason, you are able to label every problem around you as your challenges. What seems like problems will be broken down into small situations and that you will be able to manage easily. Rather than seeing problems, you will see individual manageable situations that you can solve one after the other. When you live in and accept the present, you become active and empowered to change each situation for better. You are not distracted by the past or the future, but are fully locked onto the present. Phenomenal achievements come from being in present. So, concluding today's thoughts and today's talk, do not overthink over any things and situations and people. Overthinking causes you to live in the past or future, which is not beneficial to you in the present. Too many people are controlled by their overthinking mind. This excessively control subjects them to unnecessary suffering. You will experience improvement in your life when you learn to separate yourself from your mind. Live in the present to make your life better. Listen to what your body is saying and do what it wants. Your body knows what's best for you. Your body is focused on the present. It is the mind that wanders in the past and the future. You can train yourself to be present all the time by questioning yourself on what your next thought will be. This questioning method allows you to break the flow of thinking. This break in the flow of thoughts brings your thinking to your consciousness and gives you more control over it. There is a part of you that needs most of the pain you experience. The more pain it creates, the more powerful it gets. Living in the present helps you to regain power from this pain-seeking part of you. Beware of your ego. It resides in your mind and keeps away from being happy and keeps making you more miserable. A richer life comes from the ability to kill the ego and focus on what the body needs. You can gain this ability by observing your mind without judgment. Acknowledge what your mind is telling you, but do not obey it. Exist in a state of permanent alertness. This awaiting state will keep you in the present. The people closest to you may not understand your choice. Still, being present can help improve your relationships with them. Living in the present will help you listen better and show understanding. When you surrender to the present, you will become more active and be able to change situations for good. You will learn to accept the things as it is and thus avoid unnecessary pain and suffering. So try this. Listen to your body and overcome the power of your mind over your life. For the next few days, try to do what your body demands at every point in time. So what happens? Observe how it keeps you from thinking of the past or the future. So dear friends, here I end my today's talk. I hope you must have enjoyed listening to it, but it is not simple to, you just need to imbibe each of these and bring it in practice every day. Meditation is not just sitting for 20 minutes in 24 hours and you start feeling that yes, it is that you just charge 20 to 30 minutes. The way we need to charge our mobiles every night and every time before use, the same way we need to charge ourselves by keeping a control on your thoughts, by keeping a watch on your thoughts, by keeping a pauses between your thoughts, by watching your thoughts, by preventing yourself from overthinking. And if you have learned, understood and start practicing, the very objective of my today's talk is very well met. Thank you very much for your patient listening. All the best. God bless you. Take care of yourself and get rid of all your such post-traumatic stress disorders, PTSDs. Make sure that you have understood the fact that Sri Krishna Bhagwan has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita very well, that if you are born, you are bound to die. If you are born, then you are definitely going to become sick. If you are born, then you are not only going to become sick, if you will survive long, you are going to get into older age, and all these four phases, the birth, sickness, old age and death, every living creature is going to go through this. How respectfully you go through, your choice. All the best. God bless you. Take care. If you like the talk, click on like button, do share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe my channel, that is Lok Talks. Thank you very much. All the best. God bless you. Take care.